Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations with Matt DeLockery. Today, we have with us Adriana Moreno, and she's going to talk about what it's like living in the United States as a Mexican. So, thank you, Adriana, for coming on, and thank you for sharing with us today.
Hi, Matt. Thank you for having me. It's nice to see you.
It's good to see you too. It would be nice when quarantine's over and we can actually see each other in person again and not just,
Yes.
digital all the time,
You
digital.
should know that Matt is my dancing partner in ballroom dancing. So
Yes,
we have fun, but it's been a while since we cannot dance right now.
it's been too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been. So I was looking at your bio on your school's page, and it says all the arts that you're interested in. Dancing isn't listed as one of those. So what's up with that? Like,
I
are
know,
you
but
ashamed of
you
this
but you
life?
put it on, you put
Are you
it in
ashamed of
there,
me?
you put it
Are
in
you
there.
ashamed of me?
No, no, of course not. But dancing became to be like one of my passions when I was already here, and it was like, I mean, I've always liked to dance. I'm a Mexican, but but I didn't have the opportunity to be ballroom dancing, to be doing ballroom dancing in Mexico. It was until like 3 years ago now, one of them with COVID, so count two, that it became one of my passions. That's not my bio, but thank you for adding it.
Yes, I thought it needed to be there. And we're always going to forever have to be giving qualifiers about how long you've been dancing. Well, there was COVID in there, so there was,
I
minus,
know, I
yeah.
know. Yeah, well, we try, but it's never the same without being able to actually touch your partner and dance with it. It's
I
not
mean,
the
you can
same
practice some
as
of the footwork at home, but it's not the same.
no, not at all. But soon enough, we'll be there.
So tell us your story. What's up? Like, who are you? Where'd you come from? How'd you end up here? Bring us up to the present before we get into the actual topics. Let us know
All
who we
right.
talking to.
Well, as you said, my name is Adriana Moreno. I come from Mexico City. I was born there. I studied my whole life in there. My college and my major was there also. I studied communication, and then my major was in TV production, live TV production. So after that, I became a producer in one of the TV networks back in Mexico City. I had the chance and the blessing of having four shows uh, in charge. So I was very, very happy. Then I met Pepe, and I married on August 2006. And then he used to work for Coke back in Mexico, and he still works for Coke here. And he was offered um, for a new position here in Atlanta. So we moved to Atlanta in 2006 already, 14 years ago. I left behind a lot of things. Being a producer was one of them. And I came back here um, after I went back to Mexico, and then I came back here after 2 months of not be willing to change my whole lifestyle. But I did. And then I had two kids in here. Both of them are from Atlanta, Georgia. She's one of the oldest one is 11, and the youngest one is 9, Maria Jose and Valentina. And then I became a preschool teacher in a Spanish immersion school, and I work with the 3-year-old kids, which is a challenge, and it's fun, but it's a challenge definitely. And
I
I
bet it is.
um, and I teach Spanish to them, so it's fun.
It's a bilingual education, right? So you're teaching like kids who grew up in an English speaking household how to speak Spanish.
Yes, it's called an immersion program, which is they as soon as they arrive in school, as soon as we open the door, the only thing that they hear and talk and speak is Spanish. So, because the only way that you can actually begin to be fluent in a language is to be immersed in it. So that's the way we do it, and it's amazing how fast they pick it up and how fast they begin to speak in Spanish to you, and if they're comfortable to do it like in a Spanish environment, because they do, because they go back to home to the house, and if the parents don't speak Spanish, they won't do it. But if they're around somebody else that speaks Spanish, they will. So yeah, it's
So
an
you just
immersion program.
are you just teaching like language immersion, or do you also teach like Hispanic culture as well,
No,
specifically Mexican or just in
the
general? Or?
same. No, it's like the same preschool curriculum in any other preschools, but we teach it in Spanish. That's what we do.
Got
And
it.
then there's like little things that we can do in social studies, and we talk about different like Mexican culture or any Hispanic or Latin country culture. So they are immersed in everything, but it's the same curriculum as any other preschools in Georgia,
So
but in
what's it been
Spanish.
like for your immersion? I mean, not just the language obviously is one part of it, but
Yeah.
it's been a cultural shift to
Oh
move from
yes,
Mexico
it
to the
is.
U.S. and
It is.
I would say move to Georgia, but I mean most places in the U.S. is going to be a different sort of a different,
Well,
if you will.
I think it because we are not in the border, it has been more difficult because people are not used to have another culture in here. Like it's more difficult in Georgia than probably in Arizona or Texas or California or where there's a lot of Mexicans living in there since forever. Um, for the people that we are in the South, it's like they're not used to it or not as um, they could living in the border. For me, it was a shock because it's not only the language, it's the culture. We are very used to do physical contact. So we used to say hello and kiss each other and hug each other, when you come here, if you kiss somebody, it's like, whoa, you're getting into my face. Like it's not easy at first. I remember one day I was taking a class in SCAD in Savannah College of Art and Design. I was taking painting classes, and then I came in. It was 14 years ago, but I came in and I say hi. I introduced myself, and I began to kiss everybody. And I just heard a girl saying, "Oh, she's gay," which I was like, I'm not gay, but I just like to kiss. But I understand because it's a culture. It's not something that people is used to, you know. So at first it was very difficult. The language, obviously, there's a language barrier. I studied in an immersion school back in Mexico for almost all my life. It was half and half. It was 50-50. And so I thought I was ready to speak in English. And when I came in, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I don't understand this accent because it was difficult. Oh, there you are. Because
Yeah, it
it was
disappeared for a minute.
difficult. Yeah. I was not used to the Southern accent, which is, it's something.
Different than the way you
And
learn English in school.
yeah, and it was difficult for me to at first to speak and understand English, but I get used to it pretty well. It has been challenging, yes, but very enjoyable. I've learned a lot of things, and once you get used to it, you begin to enjoy everything you have around. Um, and it's been good. It's been a great experience. But like probably um, 4 years ago or a little bit more, when Trump came won the elections, something
Mhm.
happened, and people just gain, not everybody, because I'm not gonna say that everybody's like that. Absolutely not. But some people just gained this empowerment to speak up and to speak out whatever they wanted to say, and that's when we began to see this um, racist situations where I was, my kids and me were pointed as Mexicans, and go back to your country and all that stuff.
So before that, it
hasn't
was just
been.
sort of like neutral, and it's like, oh, you're from Mexico, hey,
Yeah,
whatever, and
yeah, yeah.
then it
And you
became
deal
like a
and you deal with probably somebody asked me one day, "Oh, do you still ride horses? Do you sleep on the floor?" Some things like that you're like, no. But you get it, that it's people that probably have never been out, have never been back, down in Mexico, so they don't know how we live in Mexico City, and you understand that it's because they don't know about it.
I mean, probably
Well,
the majority of what we know about Mexico comes from movies, and we know how incredibly accurate those are.
exactly. Or from spring break when you go to Acapulco or any beach back in Mexico, and then you get drunk with the cheapest tequila ever, and that's Mexico, which doesn't work.
So that's not Mexico?
No. But yeah, 4 years ago, probably 5 years ago, it began to be kind of difficult in some ways. I remember that when Trump won, that the next day we went back to work, and obviously it wasn't, it was, for us, it was like, ooh, it was like shocking, because we knew things were going to change. And one of the mothers in the school told me, "Oh, but you don't have to be worried, or you don't have to be um, upset about it. I mean, you don't look like Mexican," which was like, "Oh, what do you mean by that?" you know, like I was like, and that was like one of the first things that I was like, "Hold on, but I am Mexican. What do Mexicans look like?" That's a stereotype. There's a lot of us that don't fit the stereotype, and I'm very proud to be Mexican. So we began to have that in restaurants. A friend of mine and me were like in a sushi restaurant eating, and suddenly a lady came in and say, "You have to speak American." Um, excuse me. I was even, I was not paying attention. I was like, it was not in my radar that I was supposed to speak in English all the time. And we had like probably that kind of situations more than I wanted to. One of my kids was somebody well, they received the most comments, which is, it was upsetting, because that the kids don't say it because they know it or because they read it in the internet, in the newspaper. The kids just listen or hear that kind of stuff in their houses, in their homes, and they go back to school and say the same thing to their Mexican friends. And that happened to my daughters, especially with Maria Jose, the oldest one. She's not blonde or anything. She has black hair, and she has black eyes. And she suffered from many comments that, one of them was like, "Oh, so now when your parents get deported, are you going to live in the cage with everybody else and with your sister, and you're going to stay there forever?" I was like, that day they came back home and they were like super quiet, and there was like a lot of silence. And I was like, "What's going on? What's going on with you too?" And they were like, "Is it true that we're going to stay in a cage, and you and Dad are going to get deported and sent back to Mexico without us because we're American and you're not?" And I was like, "Where is this coming from?"
Right. How old was Maria Jose when that happened?
Probably this was probably 2 years ago.
So 9?
So Valentina was 7 and Maria was 9. Yeah. And she has been called names like Frida Kahlo, which, if you know Frida Kahlo, it's one of our best artists, but she has like a unibrow, and she
And
has
that's all anybody
facial
remembers.
hair. And she has facial hair and everything. And, my daughter used to have a unibrow, and she used to have facial hair. So she was called Frida Kahlo. And I was like, wait a minute, do you know who Frida Kahlo was? And she was like, yes. And I was like, well, she fought for human rights, she fought for equality against men, with men and women. She was a great artist. But come, I'll wax your, I mean, it was like, you never expect that kind of comments in school. And this is not public school. This was a private school.
But it's not just from the kids, though. It's from adults as well, isn't it? And
of course, that this happens because the kids are listening to these kind of things at home. Because how else or somebody else told them, another friend, but how do you explain that kind of stuff? Especially, the things like Trump is going to deport you and you're going to be deport your parents, are you going to be in a cage? It's like, where are you getting this from? Like, this is not an information that you can see in TV or, and if you are watching this, why isn't anybody explaining you things, So I have to explain to my kids, Trump gave me permission to be here because I have a green card, because, I'm a legal resident. But then it's like, you have to deal with this kind of comments, and you have to deal with the people that are saying that kind of things. And you begin to wonder what's the purpose of it, why are you saying that? And then, comments like that. Another experience that I had was we were having dinner with a lady, and suddenly they began to talk about when you fill requests to do something, like when you have to fill out the race and the ethnicity and everything. So I said, I am white and Hispanic or Latino. And she turned to me and said, you're not white, you're Mexican. And I was like, I am white, but I am a white Latino. I am Mexican, but I don't put I am Mexican. I am white.
Okay, could you explain that a bit more to white Americans? I don't think they understand how, because I think they associate like all Mexicans are Latinos or Latinas, and white is something that you can't be unless you're like American or Canadian or European. Like,
I guess it's,
could you more?
Well, I guess it's that. I guess they think that Mexicans, because we are different, looking than Americans or Canadians or European people. In the majority of the cases, we are not that race. We are not white.
But some of y'all are very light skinned, though. So it's like there's, yeah. So there's a wide range of skin tones.
Yes, you can say, you can say the same thing for Cubans or for Puerto Ricans, or like there's like different shades of skin and different types of where some of them are short, it doesn't matter. I am Mexican, yes, but I am white. I look white, and to fill it out, to fill the request or all the forms in here, I am white and I'm Hispanic. And if it would be like a Mexican thing in there, I would say I am Mexican. I'm not, I'm proud to be Mexican. But yeah, I think with all this 45 past years, people just got into this thing of hating people and show it to people.
So is it like, what do you think is behind that? Like, it's one thing asking somebody who's an American and white, like sort of what's behind that, but you hear some of the comments and see some of the attitudes on the other side. So from somebody who's on the receiving end of some of this, like, what do you think's behind some of that? Some people, I think it definitely goes as far as hatred, and other people, I think it's just, I don't know, that they're afraid of what they're not familiar with, or
yes,
something.
I think most of it is I don't want to hurt anybody, or I don't want to sound rude, but I think it's ignorance. I think it's lack of knowledge of believing that there can be, you know, something else that you know from TV or from a movie, um, and you don't know it, and you don't want to know it because you don't care, you know. But I think it's that. I think it's not opening yourself to know something that you are not familiar with. I mean, I've been having, like, for example, you've been asking like a lot of questions about my culture, about my food, about the way of
I'm
living,
curious.
you know,
Well, food I'm
and
not so curious about because I've
curiosity.
had it and it's amazing, and I want you to teach me how to do it because your food is amazing. That's yeah,
Thank you.
that's a different sort of question. Like I want to do that, but
Yes, yes,
yes,
yes. But I mean, there's people that ask, and I'm willing to answer any questions because if they're asking with curiosity like you do, it's a pleasure because you're talking about your culture and who you are, you know, and where you come from. I don't have a problem with that. Um, so the thing is that you have to open yourself uh, to understand that there's so much more beyond the borders, you know, like there's so much more culture and history and food and everything else. And at, at the end of the day, you and me look alike. We have two arms, we have the same 20 fingers, you know, we have like everything, it's the same. So the only thing that it's different is that you were born here and I was born in Mexico, but nothing else. But I guess the point is that people doesn't want to know or to get informed from other cultures and just be open-minded about it. The
and
worst
it's
thing
like
is that there's like a huge population in United States and in Atlanta already that is like, you know, the Hispanic market, if you can call it that way, it's growing and growing every day. So it's like if you don't want to do it because you're curious, just do it business wise or business like because at the end of the day, we're part of your market, you know?
yeah.
I mean, we eat.
So if you can't do it because you actually care about your neighbor, at least do it out of own self interest. But as long as the goal is, as long as you end up being kinder to people
Yeah.
near you and around you, it shouldn't be that hard. I wonder if it's just that people are like they feel like they've got this is how my life is right now and it works, but I'm worried that if anything changes that at all, then something's gonna you're just gonna upset it and like things are gonna fall apart and it feels. And I wonder if that's what they're
Threatened.
worried about. It's just not that there's anything wrong with you. It's just they're just worried about their things becoming turned upside down and then
Yeah, it could be that they feel threatened about it, you know, or that they feel threatened that if they get a lot of people coming in from Mexico or whoever it is, um, you guys are going to disappear because they are also. Somebody told me that one day. It's like if you keep coming in, there is not going to be Americans anymore, you know, which it's not going to happen. Like
so
it's never
where are
going
we
to
going to go?
happen.
I mean,
I mean, you know, but I think that yes, some people feel threatened in every, in every stage of, or in every way, because there's a lot of Mexican people coming in and working in the country and in construction sites, and and many times they do the labor that nobody else wants to do, or they do extra hours that they don't get paid for it, you know. But then there's like people threatened because hey, he has my job. Like I could be working there, and he has it. So that's another thing that is happening too.
Yeah, but there's another part to that as well that, okay, well, yes, they're here and they're working jobs, but they're not just working jobs. They have to live. They have to live somewhere. They have to buy things. So, I mean, yeah, they're taking jobs, but they're also adding to the market too. So it's not just the one side. You think about the other as well. So it's both of it.
And probably that there's something that many people doesn't know. Illegal residents, illegal immigrants in here, they also pay taxes.
Okay,
Which
how is that?
they pay taxes. I don't know how they do this. They have like a different, it's not, obviously it's not a license, or it's not like, like a green card. They have a number, like a social security number, where they go and pay their taxes every year as everybody else. So yes,
Wait, so
they are
they're
not
here
legal
they're here
residents,
illegally.
but they pay taxes. Yes.
So they're not legal residents, but they have a number, so the government knows they're here, but pretends they don't know that they're here.
Um, I don't want to go that far, but what I can tell
I'm
you
just
is,
asking. Like I have no
but,
idea.
but what I can tell you is that yes, they pay taxes. Recently, there's this girl that helps me with cleaning my house, and obviously she's illegal. But she was like very worried because she had to pay her taxes. She was doing like her whole taxes declaration and everything, and I was like, wait a minute, you pay taxes? Oh yes, I pay taxes. My cousin pays taxes. Everybody pays taxes. And I was like, but you don't have like legal papers. You don't. And she was like, I know, but I have to pay taxes. I live here. So I was like,
That's a
oh
completely different story than I think most white Americans hear. You
yeah.
think they're just here
I think that
using the
most of us,
services and not, pulling their fair share, whereas you're saying
and
no,
I
no,
think
that's
most of us, like me included, I didn't know. I thought that being illegal was just, not, I mean, getting paid and that's it, and sending the money back to Mexico for your family to leave. Like I didn't know they had obligations as us, that pay taxes and everything. And that was one of the things that people will always tell me. It's like, wow, but no, but you don't understand. Like people without documents, they're not paying taxes. They're living with my taxes. And the other day I was like, well, I guess not. They are living with their taxes.
learn something new every day,
Which is very interesting. We should investigate more.
right? That.
Right? Yeah.
So, what else has struck you as what else has changed in the last few years? Um, has there been anything positive that's happened?
Oh
That
yeah.
you've noticed the last few years. What else? What's positive has happened, if there is anything?
Well, it all depends on the approach that you have with people, and who do you want to hang out with. Like it is very evident when people doesn't want to be around you because you are not American, or you are not, or your accent is too strong, and that bothers people, but
Mm.
along the way you begin to meet fabulous people, amazing people that just love you and want you to be okay, and they surround you with good energy and love, like you, Angie, Mama Beth, my friends, my dancing friends. Um, uh, and you begin to know people that are eager to have another kind of society, have another kind of where everybody is equal, and where everybody have the same rights and can be happy in the same way. Um, so I am blessed to be here. I'm not trying to go back to Mexico, running away from everything, and saying that this has been awful. No, my kids are from here. There's a lot of people that I call my family already here, because my whole family is they're all around the world. My sister lives in Barcelona. My brother lives in Toronto, and he's watching. So hi. Um, my mom lives in Mexico, and my other brother lives in Mexico as well. So we're all around. So you just rely on the people that you have here, and then that you begin to call your family. You know. So life has given me this opportunity and this chance to also learn from you guys, to also learn from your culture, and to be super happy and super blessed to have you all in my life. So it's
Let's
been
ex-
a great ride.
have your girls had similar experience?
Like being happy.
Yeah, like have they experienced the same sort of like connections with people and like finding sort of their
Yeah.
new family
For them,
beyond just the
it has been much easier because they from day one they, you know, although her first language was Spanish, they got like they speak English as a native. They are native, but I mean, they speak English
they don't have any
perfectly.
accent. Like
They don't have any accent at all. Like I sometimes I'm speaking in English and my daughters come in and say like, "Mom, you don't say it like that," or "No, you don't say that," you know, and I'm like, um, uh, they are totally immersed in both cultures, and they're very proud to be Mexican too. And they show this pride back in school, and they're like, "I'm Mexican, and I'm gonna go to Mexico," and you know, and they're completely accepted, and they're happy about it. And it's for me, it's such a great experience to have raised two kids with two cultures, with two languages, with two different kind of traditions. You know, because we celebrate both. We celebrate my independence in Mexico, and we celebrate the 4th of July. We celebrate we celebrate everything.
get twice the
Um,
holidays. Best deal ever.
well, yeah, we don't have all the holidays in Mexico in here, but you know, um, but they are happy. They're like it's so normal for them. It's not normal when some of the comments come in, like you know, the racist comments when they come in and oh, you're Mexican, you know. Um, but this has been a good thing for them, obviously. They go to back to Mexico every summer. We go back to Mexico to be with my mom, and they're the little Americans, little gringas, because they have an accent in Spanish. So it's very funny. It's very funny to hear them talking Spanish and everybody making fun of them because you have an accent, you know. Um, but I mean, it's fun for them. They don't feel like somebody's making fun of them. They're more like, you know, it's a fun thing to say,
A
and
friendly tease rather
it's a
than
cute thing.
actually like making fun of
Exactly,
them.
it's they're teasing. So for my kids, it's their way of life. It's that they don't know anything else. You know, they don't know that's the way they were raised as bilingual and bicultural persons, and I think that opens a lot of windows for them in the world.
And they
Uh,
actually do have or will have dual citizenship.
yes, we will. Me,
Will
I
or
will.
do.
I will because I'm gonna get my citizenship soon. But my kids are they have dual citizenship. They're Mexican and American.
Nice.
Yeah, it is nice. It is nice. And also it's nice because they are more tolerant in every aspect. They are more into understanding that people are different and we come from different um, places and we have different roots. Um, they're more open to that. They're more open to a global thinking more than, you know, I live in here and this is it and this is the best thing that could ever happen. And sorry about you and your life, you know. Um, so this has been good for them. It's a good experience for them to be bicultural and to learn.
So on the one hand, I hear all sorts of stuff today, and I don't think this is incorrect. Like, we're becoming more and more disconnected from family and community, but it's like at the same time that we're becoming more disconnected and not actually having any roots, we're not actually learning how to be open to people who are different. So we're getting the worst of both worlds. We're staying close to people who are different, and we don't have any roots to be attached to. So it's like we're going around through life looking for people who agree with us on Facebook, and we're just going around looking for people who are in our echo chambers and floating through life like that. And that's like the worst possible thing that we could do. None of it is good.
What I've seen with my kids is like I'm in charge of teaching them Mexican traditions and Mexican, our Mexican roots. And I was very into teaching them all this stuff so they won't forget and so they will feel Mexican. And then I realized that I also had to learn, me, Adriana, their American traditions, So it was a two-way thing. They were learning about me, but I should learn about them because they're American. We live here, and I guess that's what everybody has to do. It's not only showing who you are, or it's showing and learning. Like that's the way you have to do it, because otherwise it's just it's only talking about yourself, but you're not listening. So in order to be tolerant and in order to be in like a global way of thinking, you have to listen and you have to be open to receive things and to enjoy them.
So what are some of the American traditions and things that you've learned and picked up and been exposed to, things that surprised you or things that you now participate in and do differently than you did before you came here?
For example, Easter was not a thing that Mexicans do. Like, the whole eggs and all that stuff. Easter is celebrated here in a very different way than in Mexico. And I'm talking about the tradition, not the religious approach. That's one of the, like all the eggs and, hiding the eggs and all that stuff, because Easter's coming, and that's what came out in my mind.
And so clearly, like all the religious stuff, that clearly means rabbits and chocolate, because those are connected. And
yes,
and rabbits lay eggs, apparently.
Exactly, and they are chocolate eggs, which is
the chocolate eggs.
It doesn't make sense, but some of the traditions don't make sense at all. So not here, not there. Some of the traditions are just like that. You don't know why, but just like that. Obviously, we celebrate Halloween. In Mexico, we celebrate Halloween as well, but it's not like this. It's like big things. Like I'm talking about the kids, what the kids enjoy the most. The food, all the food that we learn how to eat and how to cook in here, because it's very different from Mexican food. And sometimes
our Mexican food is not real Mexican food.
No, it's not. Right. I'm sorry. No, these hard tortillas are not even tortillas. It's like, I don't know how to explain you. Like, I want to go to every Mexican restaurant, Tex-Mex restaurant, and say, you and me will have to have a serious talk about Mexican food. I understand the fusion, it's Tex-Mex, but Mexican food, there's few restaurants here in Atlanta that are real Mexican, real food. I can give you a list if your audience wants to go.
They're from all over, so.
Yeah, 4th of July, there's another one, obviously we began to celebrate it when my kids were a little bit older. And it's not only, why do we go and have barbecue with everybody else and see fireworks? It's like, what do we celebrate on 4th of July? It's not only like the party. So we try to be more immersed in all the culture and the traditions. And it's good. I've learned a lot
Thing to do.
I've learned a lot. And everyday things that probably right now I don't have them like, wait, what? But
Yeah, no, it's
I
just
just
one of
do
those
them.
questions that as soon as I ask you, that you're like, I've just immediately forgot about all of the things, and then
Yes,
as
yes,
soon as
yes.
as soon as I hit end broadcast, and you're like,
Like
oh
for,
yeah, here's 12
like for
things.
example, yes, like for example, I didn't know that you cannot use white after the summer. Did you know that?
It's after Labor Day.
Yeah, it's Labor Day.
Yeah, I don't know
Why?
why.
Why?
I don't know.
I mean, neither. It's a
Not
probably
supposed
it's
to
a
wear white
fashion
after Labor.
thing. I
I
don't
don't.
know. And
The
when
reason the
one day we
reason
were
is
doing,
because sometime a long time ago, a certain group of old ladies decided I'm not going to wear white after Labor Day, and that's how it became a thing.
see, I didn't
I don't
know.
know.
Some of those things are like, oh, okay, and you're dressed in white after Labor Day, and it's like,
I hate when I
okay,
wear my white suit out and I get called out for
so yeah, like Sunday
it.
Night
Right?
Fever.
Disco.
Yeah. Yes. I some of those things, like the everyday things that probably right now I don't have them so fresh because I just do them like everybody else. But yeah, you're like, what? You do what? And obviously, if you were in my house, you're gonna go like, oh, you do that like that. you know, it's a different way of living, but it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just different.
Yeah, it's a different flavor,
Yeah. Yeah.
and sometimes we need to get outside of the same thing that we're always used to and try something a little bit different, and maybe we'll find something that's interesting. Maybe we like better. So
Well, there's a lot of things that I enjoy. For example, I live in a neighborhood where all the neighbors are such good persons, and they're always looking out for you. And probably in Mexico City, because we're so many people in there, you don't have that anymore. Like you don't have the neighbor that you can come to your house and have something like like without COVID, when you used to go to your neighbor's house and have a coffee or a glass of wine or whatever. um, so this neighborhood and living like that is very, very nice. And we don't have that in Mexico anymore. If you live in
I
the
feel like that's
suburbs,
probably
you
more of
will.
a big city thing than like. I feel like that's probably more of a big city thing than it
Yeah,
is
it's more like New
a
York when
country thing.
nobody, it's more like, like New York where you pass by and you don't say anything to anybody else because you just thinking about it. And there's so many people around you that it's not. Still, we say hello and buenos dias and buenas noches, and we smile at each other more than in New York, obviously. But yeah, I mean, it's a big city, so we live in a rush all the time. You can't imagine the rush that you have living in Mexico. Traffic. If you complain about traffic in Atlanta, I invite you to go to Mexico. That's
I'll I'll
awful, man.
I'll pass on the traffic, thank you. I'll go to some part that doesn't have traffic. That's
Exactly. But
I don't need to see traffic in a different language. I'm happy to not like it in my own.
yeah, traffic is not something that you want to be in
No.
Mexico. You can spend 2 hours in the traffic easily.
Yeah, I'd rather not. Yeah.
Awful, awful. But well, it's a big city, as you say. Big city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what other things do you want to share with us? What can you help us understand better? Like what can we do to move forward? People who are um, you've been hearing a whole bunch of things for some years now and want to try to be more open to people near us who come from somewhere else. Like
Well, I think
what
that
what takeaways can you give us and things that we can do better, differently?
I understand that it's not easy to be familiar with something that you don't know. As you said a while ago, it could be threatening, or some many people say. I've heard a lot of times saying, "Oh no, I'm too old to speak Spanish, or I'm too old to, to even to go to travel anymore. I don't like to travel, or I don't like to. You don't have to travel. You just have to open a book. Now we have tons of tools. We have the internet, so we can go traveling through the internet wherever you want to go. But the thing is that you really want to be tolerant enough to understand that life has changed a lot, and diversity is one of our main things that we need to take care of. We are global now. Mexicans are everywhere. Americans are everywhere. Chinese people are everywhere. We're not, like, borders are not borders anymore. And this is the time we have to live on. And our kids are going to be more global than us. So this is a huge chance and a huge opportunity to just open ourselves to listen to somebody else, to some people that are different, and learn from them, and grab what is good for you. You don't have to, you don't have to adapt to their way of life. I think we can both adapt to our ways of life. So it's just about listening and to be tolerant and to understand that diversity is something we have to live with now. We live with it everywhere we go. Everywhere you go, you're gonna listen foreign accents, not only Spanish. I've, here in Atlanta, I hear everything, like German. I hear French. Like there's a lot. Chinese. Like there's a lot of people that are not from Atlanta, and still, this is a very diverse city. So I think it's the only thing that we need to do is just breathe in, let go, whatever it is you're scared of, open yourself to a new world, because it's exciting, because it's good. It's a whole new journey where you can understand that you're not alone in this world, or that the world that it's not like that. It has so much different, situations and opportunities that you can live if you just let go and live, and open your mind and your heart. So I will say, listen and just smile and give in.
I think that's good advice.
Probably.
So I want to take some questions from people. So if you have any questions and you're watching right now, type them in the chat, and there'll be a bit of a delay because there's a 10-second delay for YouTube, and then
Be
people have to type
benevolent,
it.
be benevolent, because I don't know what you're gonna ask. I'm afraid, but
so ask something nice.
yes, you can ask anything you want. Food, restaurants.
So while people are typing something, let me pull up a comment from earlier. Do you think the media expands the problem with ignorance?
Yes, of course. Media is guilty of putting us in a stereotype where we cannot get out of. And it's not only Mexicans, it's African Americans, it's everywhere. I think media is not doing a good job, even though I am from the media. I tell you that the media is destroying a lot of our human rights right now, which is awful. But yes, it is. I think it's.
Yeah, I mean, it's really kind of making everybody out to be like this side or this side, so they can wind up people for supporting their side without understanding, trying to make people understand.
And then you have like more conservative media and liberal media. Like politics are everywhere, and the media is going there too. So yes, there's all the stereotypes that we have, all the bad conceptions, because not you never hear a note about a Mexican that is really doing good for the community. There's always, like, as Trump said, we are rapers and we are, like things like that. So it depends also in the media and how do we want to live? How do we want to handle this situation, this diversity situation? Do we want to still be in a stereotype where everybody is the same, and I don't have to worry because I don't look like Mexican, or do we really want to expand that to a better situation?
Where I think if you just got to know your neighbor, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can.
Okay. My camera's just being really stupid today. At least the microphone's still working. Whereas if you actually got to know your neighbor, then it might be a little bit different, and you wouldn't have to. It'd be easier to break away from the stereotype if you got to, actually know the person who's sitting next to you, and you can, have coffee or have a glass of wine with them or something like that. And it's
Yes.
you get to see them as a person and not as a nationality or you're from
Or a
here.
stereotype. Yeah, yeah. There you go.
I don't know what's up with my
Definitely.
camera today. So
Definitely. And not to be afraid of asking, if you ask with respect. I mean, there's a lot of questions that I have asked you or Angie about things that I don't know. And if you do it with respect, there's nothing wrong about it. Like,
yeah, I see you just trying to understand. Like when I ask you questions about stuff,
yeah,
it's like I just want to know and I want to understand.
exactly. So it's part of knowing. It's part of having the curiosity to understand what's going on. I've been talking with you in English, and sometimes I just mess it up, and I just it was another thing that I wanted to ask, and you're like, what did you say? And then you try and you correct me and you say, oh, what you meant was, and I was like, oh yeah, yes, okay.
Yeah, but your English is better than my Spanish, so it's not like I have any room to complain.
Yeah, but I mean, what I mean is, like, if you're open to listen and to understand the diversity, it's not a limit. It's, and then you say something in Spanish and I correct you, and it's okay. So
yeah. Here's another question. Do you see things getting better now that we have a president, or is it too soon to tell?
I think things are getting better just because people are happier right now. Well, it's yes, I think that with Trump getting out of the White House and Biden coming in, for a lot of people was a relief, and stress went down a little bit. But I don't think this is over. I think this is going to be something that we have to work on, not only in the White House, but us as community. I think it's soon to tell, because right now with COVID, people is at their home. We're not having that social interaction yet. So there's like a lot of factors that are playing right now. COVID, the change of presidents, people getting, their stress down. Let's see. I think it's too soon to say. Yes, probably. I am very hopeful that this will change for everyone, and that everybody is going to be nicer during these
I
4
certainly
years.
hope so.
But yes, I will hope that happens.
Well, awesome. Thank you for coming on and sharing with us today.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Are there any closing things you want to say, or anything you want to, tell people how they can learn something more, or somewhere they can look at stuff, or just say, have a good day, and, that's that.
Well, thank you for having this forum, because I think it's very important for people to listen, especially when it's a Mexican that is talking. Thank
Which
you
is
for
the
having
exact
me
reason I
space.
wanted you to talk.
Thank you for having me in this space, first of all. And second, the only thing that I would like is for people not to be afraid of, to just get out and ask and get immersed in some other cultures, because it's very rich. Like the things that you can learn from others are very satisfying. Just, you don't have to travel around the world. Go to Buford Highway or to Norcross or to Doraville, or, go to a really good Mexican place. Just sit down, eat real good food, and observe people. Go to the Latin American Association, ask for activities where you can be and where you can stay. Like we have the Day of the Deaf, a huge celebration in October. We put altars, and we eat good food, and we dress as Catrinas, and it's like a very cultural, rich event where you can go and have fun. And so just be open to all that kind of stuff, and just learn to listen. That's it.
I think that's the lesson for the day. Learn to listen. Thank you very much, Adriana. Thank you for coming on. And
thank you. Muchos besos.
I'll see you later, and I hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for being here. Bye.